Welcome back, everybody. It's Sarcasm Speaks. Jared and Bob here coming at you. So I'm going to start out with a story, I guess. I was going to call it an anecdote, but that's kind of fucking stupid. It's a story. So I golfed yesterday for the first time in 2 weeks, maybe a little over 2 weeks, since I herniated my disc. It blew out my back. And things actually went relatively well. So the reason I bring it up is, so Chemawa, right? That's where we played. That's, of course, you've played once or twice, maybe?
Played once.
Once, yeah. I play quite a bit. I talk about it all the time. It's literally around the corner from my house. So it was the tournament. Shout out to Nick, by the way, friend of the show. He invited me on his team after they had someone who had to bail. And then we tried to recruit you because we had another person that had to bail, but you couldn't make it work. So we found someone that their cousin, whose name is also Jared, spelled differently, but he works with or is like one of his buddies or something. So we had a foursome. And the interesting thing about the course, I think I've mentioned it before, it's a short course. There's only one par five. So typically when you do one of these like charity shotgun, scrambles, it's closest to the pin on the par threes and the longest drive on the par five or fives, or one of them, or multiple, whatever.
Yeah, sometimes the longest drive is just the hole that...
Yeah, it depends on the par five.
Sometimes it's the widest fairway.
Yeah, because, it depends on the course and it depends on the holes, I guess, is a better way to put it. So in this case, there's only one par five on the course. So that was the hole that they did longest drive. So playing from the blue tees, which are a little further back, still not long. Typically when I play, I'll play from the whites, especially if I'm just playing nine. But we go from the blues, I tee it up. So we had started on the 14th hole, which is, my opinion, the second worst hole in the course, behind 18. I hate 18, number one, and I hate 14, number two. It's a super long downhill par three with a fucking tree covers, basically the whole way down there. So, whatever, doesn't matter. We started. So by the time we got to 7, it had been a while. So I was relatively warmed up, right? So I get to the tee. I've been playing pretty decent. First couple holes were tough, right? You can tell I hadn't really swung a club in 2 weeks. But then I started actually piping the driver. So I step up to the tee on the 7th hole and I'm like, listen, man, I'm not trying to fucking crush this ball. I know my back is fucked up. If I try and get after it, I'm going to hurt myself. So I just step up and I'm like, let's just make a good shot. At that point, I was more concerned about our team score. Because I think at that point we were 1 under or 2 under. So I get up and I absolutely fucking crush this ball. And I didn't really swing that hard. And turns out that's a really long fucking opening preamble to I won the longest drive competition. Now, I don't think that's saying a lot. I think I heard that there were 30 groups, 30 foursomes. And I would say at least half of them, everyone in the youngest person in the group was 50 years old, right? So cool. I outdrove a field that was 50% of 20 years older than me, right? But still, there's plenty of people that were younger. And I like I said, I didn't even swing it that hard, but I fucking absolutely crushed it. I've been nuking before I got hurt, right? I talked about this before. I've been hitting the driver really fucking well. The strength of my game right now, now obviously I have a couple, if I hit driver 10 times, in a 18 hole round, 7 of them might be really good and 3 of them are dog shit, right? You know, a toe shank, a fucking duck hook here. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be something. I'm not fucking perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I've been hitting the driver really well and I've been putting very fucking well. I hit a lot of really good putts yesterday as well. So yeah, I just wanted to open up and brag that I won the longest drive competition with a fucking herniated disc in my lower back.
I mean, someone has to.
So the funny story.
Plus, it's got to hit the fairway too.
Yes.
I've won some and I've lost more by not hitting the fairway.
Yeah. So the funny story about that is afterwards we go to the North Attleboro Elks and they do like a steak dinner and like all this stuff for you, whatever. So I'm standing in line at the bar waiting to get a drink, and their other cousin walks over and he's got a couple of his buddies with him. Now their other cousin is cool. Like, I like all their cousins. Like, they're all actually really cool. I get along well with them. They're great. But he's got one buddy that and Nick will know exactly who I'm talking about. Shall remain nameless.
He should have won, but he hit the rough.
No, it wasn't even him. He comes up to me and goes, "Yeah, Dan in our group hit it further than you, but his was in the rough, so we didn't count it." And I was like,
"Yeah, that's because
cool, man. It's got to be in the fairway.
It's got to be in the fairway."
And then so their cousin was like, "Yeah, I mean, he hit it about like 8 inches past you, but it was in the rough." So I was like, cool, like, awesome. Like, again, no issue there, but like their buddy that came up to me to talk about the kid in their group that hit it further than me was like, "Yeah, but you know, he didn't want to count it because it wasn't in the fairway." And I was like, "Yeah, because that's the rule. It needs to be in the fairway. It's got to be in the fairway. Like, you can hit it 400 yards, but if it's in the rough, you don't get to count it for a long drive. That's not how this fucking works. There are rules here."
This isn't Smokey.
Yeah. So I truthfully, I have no idea how far I hit it. I don't know. I didn't shoot anything from the box. So like, I didn't shoot the box from where the ball was. I could probably look at the card and take a guess, but I think we had like 172 to the pin from my shot. So I don't know. It's not an overly long par 5. It might actually only be like from the blues, like maybe 460, or yeah, it might be like right around 460 ish. So I don't know, what even is that? I mean, that's like 280. It is a little bit downhill, but you've played a little downwind, but you know, it was probably in the realm of like 275 roughly, if I had to guess. And then so I get up to hit my second shot and I fucking shank it into the woods on the right. So
classic.
Yeah. I at least gave us the drive on that hole. And then we had strings, right? You can pay for, you pay 20.
I fucking hate scrambles. Yes, go on.
Yeah, you pay $20 and you get an envelope.
Yeah.
And inside the envelope are like raffle tickets, right? So you get automatically entered into the raffle. And then you get a mulligan card and you get a string. So everyone gets one mulligan, and then everyone has different length strings. So we used one of the strings on this par 5 because their cousin Jared would hit his on the green. So for that, if anyone doesn't know, never played a scramble, as long as you have one ball on the green with the string, you take the string, you put one end on the edge of the cup, and you draw basically a straight line from the edge of the cup to wherever the ball is that you're directing to, and then you just put the ball at the end of the string. So we had like, I don't know, maybe like a 4 or 5 foot putt for eagle, and I hit that. So we made eagle on that hole. So I hit the drive and the putt.
You ever play with hand grenades?
No, I haven't.
Pick up the ball and
like the real thing.
I wish.
So it's not
it's not the real thing, and it's not the drink either. But like, if you can use a hand grenade like greenside, pick it up and throw it over your head.
Oh wow, that's funny. That's pretty good.
I fucking hate scrambles so much.
So I mean, it was fun. We had a good time. So we shot 6 under as a team. So
let me guess a winning score. If you won the long drive and people or whatever, Chamawa.
Yeah, it's a par 68.
12.
Yeah, you fucking nailed it. The winning score was 12 under. So last year, Nick's team actually won. So it was Nick, Jared, one of their buddies, and then another kid who they're friends with that is roughly probably about as good as you. I think he's like a 3 or a 4 handicap. And last year they won at 10 under. So this year we shot 6 under. Played relatively well. The opening holes weren't awesome. I think we bogeyed 14 to start, which sucked. But like we as a whole, I think we played pretty well. I think we might have finished top 5. They only gave out prizes for the top 3. And I think the top 3 scores were 12, 11, and 10. I think that was first, second, third. So we might have finished top 5. Well, I mean, we were certainly top 10, right? If there were 30 groups. So we were kicking around. Left a couple shots out there. And the one thing that I noticed that I picked up on is that I think I tend to play a little bit differently than most people. Especially when it comes to like approach and having trees in the way. So I'm gonna tell the story. I don't want it to sound like I'm trying to say that my way is better, because truthfully, there is no right or wrong way. I don't think. I think it's whatever you're comfortable with, and I think it's whatever fits your game style, right? But when I look at hitting an approach shot and there's a tree in front of me, I look at it like, okay, I can try and get over this tree. I can try and get through the tree, or I can get under the tree. And 2 of those 3 options, there's a really big chance that you're going to hit the fucking tree, right? Now, obviously, if you try and go under the tree, there's a chance you can hit the tree too if you don't hit it.
Yeah.
If you don't hit it well.
Depends on how low that tree is.
But from a statistical standpoint, I think your probability of hitting the tree is a lot lower if you try and go under the tree than if you try and go through or above, right? So there's a lot of things that come into play too. As I say this, right? Like if I was 150 yards out and I had like a tree maybe 40 or 50 yards in front of me, I'd probably pull an 8 iron or a 9 iron and just go over the tree, right? Like, but I'm saying like when there's a tree like pretty fucking close in front of you. So we had a shot on the 18th tee where we've actually talked about this relatively recently. The 18th hole is the one that I hate. It's a split fairway. So the fairway ends at probably like 180 to 190 yards. Then there's a gully and there's a creek. And to carry the creek, you have to hit it like 250, but then the fairway doesn't pick up again until like maybe 260, between 260 and 265. So you have to hit, and it's a slight dog leg left. So you have to hit a draw 265 yards to land it over the creek in the fairway. So typically when I play that hole, I line up straight and I blast it into the 12th fairway straight ahead, which I actually was able to do. It doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes I fucking clip a tree and then shit goes haywire, right? But from the 18th tee, I hit a fucking nuke into the 12th fairway. And in between the 12th and the 18th fairway, there's like a really huge fucking oak tree. But there's a window, right? And that obviously, right, everyone's like, oh, I got a window here. Everyone knows the meme, right? Oh, I got a window. So it's super fucking high. I don't know. I would 50 feet high, maybe 40 to 50 feet high. It's a really big old oak tree, but there's nothing really to the right of it. And until there's like another smaller tree that's maybe like 20 to 30 yards to the right. But you have about 25 feet roughly before the first branch on the tree. So you do have like a pretty sizable gap if you can keep the ball low and you can get it through. Now, part of this is because that's how I usually play that hole. But part of me is I typically approach the game that way, is keep the ball low and like run it onto the green versus like, oh, I have 112 to the pin. Yeah, I'll hit a 112 shot. Like, I'm not that good, right? I look at like, oh, I have 112 to the pin. Okay. Depending on the situation, like I'll pull, maybe a club or two up and try and keep it a little bit lower and land it like 80 to 90 yards and let it like run onto the green, right? Versus trying to pin seek. Again, that's not always the case. Depends on the size of the green, what's the wind, all that bullshit, right? How thick is the rough that you're in?
How much welding did you do?
Yeah.
Like wind elevation, lie distance?
Yeah. But I looked at my shot and I said, I think we should go with my shot, right? Again, I'm also being a little bit of an asshole, but I'm also not gonna get into a fight over like my shot's better, because the shot we ended up going with was in the left rough that was before the end of the fairway. So in total, it probably went like 175 yards off the tee in the left rough. So it's a tough shot trying to get it close to the green. But I was like, I'm confident that I can pull like, I don't know, I forget I didn't shoot it, right? Because we didn't end up going with my shot. But say I had like 140, maybe 150 yards to the pin. Like, I'm confident that like I can pull a 6-iron and keep it low and land it like, whatever, like about 110 yards, and then it'll run out for another 30 to 40 yards. Like, I know I have that shot, but obviously the three other people in the group didn't think the same way, right? Because they see a giant ass tree and they're like, fuck that, I'm not going over that tree, which is perfectly reasonable. But I was a little bit salty. I was a little bit salty that I absolutely pummeled the driver again straight into the 12th fairway. And I knew that I could have hit that shot. But again, it's not about me, right? I was being a little bit selfish. It's not about me. It's about the three other people on the team. Like, what if I hit a bad shot, right? And it got stuck in the rough. And now the other three people have to hit a shot they're not comfortable with. Like, that's kind of lame, right? Like, I can at least have the hindsight to look back and be like, yeah, that's fine. Like, I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna sit there and get into an argument either on the golf course on our like fourth fucking hole of me being like, no, I think my shot's better, we should do this. Like, it was whatever, right? And it wasn't like it made or broke. Yeah, that's the past tense. Made or broke the round, because we still lost by 6 strokes. So at the end of the day, who gives a shit, right? But I think it's interesting to see how different people approach the game, because their cousin Jared is pretty good. And he kind of just like goes right at it. He hits a little bit of a draw. And so obviously that's a little bit different to me, right? Because I typically hit a fade. But yeah, it's interesting to see how other people play the game and approach it. And it was fun. All in all, at the end of the day, it was a good time. That was the only time where I was like, motherfuck. But it was fine. I was literally over it in about 45 seconds. After we hit the second shot, I was like, all right, cool. Like, we're going to be fine on this hole. We'll probably make par. And I think we did make par. So, yeah, good time. So.
Scrambles. They're just like, no, it sucks because like they're fun, but like they are like the worst display of humanity on a golf course.
Because like, people are always going to cheat, right?
That's the thing. People always cheat. I think people fill in their card before they even play.
Yeah.
Like, there was a time I played Pembroke with 3 Well, if we use current handicaps, everyone's a 3 or better.
Right.
And everyone's been in that area. So 3 of us are 3 or better. The place played hard. And we came in at like 11 under, and the winning group was like 15. I go, there's no way. There's a 0 fucking % chance you came in at 15. I go, it was hard out there. We played pretty good. We did not lose by 4.
Yeah.
I assure you,
Yeah.
we did not lose by 4. We ended up winning it the next year. I think we probably got to 13. But yeah, that, and then it's like, you know, sometimes it's like you can buy mullies and string, and if you fire the cannon, you get to hit at the cone, and I'm just like, it's just not for me, man. Like the cannon,
they can get goofy.
Like especially so,
the
like
one
some of the worst
yesterday
ones
wasn't what it was not that goofy, right? It's 1 mulligan and 1 string per person, but you also have to buy the envelope. It's $20 for the envelope.
Yeah, which everyone does,
right?
Generally,
yeah.
Yeah, like one time it was like there was a cannon and you paid $20 and you can take the cannon shot. And I asked, I go, what happens if the cannon is like 40 yards right? They go, well, that's the shot. I go, it's like 275 to the pin. They're like, yeah. I go, I'm going to try to drive this fucking thing.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, it's like, you know, tried to drive it, didn't get there. Had a short, whatever. Chris tried to drive it. I think he like probably was wayward one way or the other. And we had like a fucking 40-foot eagle putt. It's like, okay. You know, I could have chipped it close and we could have had a kick in, and it's the same result.
Right.
And then there was another one I played, like it was at Easton Country Club. And it was like, oh, if you pay $20, you can hit this driver, and you can either take your ball or you can go drop one at that cone. That cone's 100 yards and you'll be lying 0. And I go, and they're like, it's $20 a player. I go, got a left-handed one? They go, oh, no, we don't. I go,
okay.
So should I just give you the $20 and drop 0 at the cone?
Yeah.
And they're like, you could do that. I go, but why would I? Because someone else just paid $20 and it's a scramble. We're just going to take their ball.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sorry about that. No left-handed stuff. I'm like, why the fuck would 3 people pay $20 for that?
Yeah.
And one person can pay $20, drop 0 at the cone, and then all 4 of us hit from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not fucking best ball.
Yeah. I mean, that's also, you said that was at Easton Country Club.
Yeah, I forget. That might have been Easton.
That's very
baseball.
rich. Because we had some holes where it was like, there was one hole, it was you pay $5 a person. So again, here you go. It's $20 for all 4 versus $20 a person at fucking Easton. So it shows you the class difference there. But it was, if you, on one of the par 3s, if you land the ball on the green, you get entered into a raffle to win like Red Sox tickets or something. And then there was another one that you could pay $5 to, if you landed the ball on the green, I think you got an extra like 20 tickets entered into the 50-50 raffle.
So here's what I like if it's going to be a scramble. Now I've done these at like member guests or whatever. So I've done one was a beat the pro. So pro hits their shot. Or no, you all hit your shots. And so if you pay in, say it's like $10 a guy, and it might be something like you win 50 if you beat the pro. So it's like all 4 of you guys hit your shots and the pro puts a ball down, hits their shot. If you're inside of the pro, you win. Like that's like fun. And that's just straight gambling though. Cause that's like, it's a $10 bet. It's like a 5-to-1 bet.
Right.
I don't know. I think I had an edge on that one. So I've won one of those before. Each year when I play at Myopia, I don't do it generally because this is like a fucking event, so I like don't bother with whatever the fuck they're doing. And they do something where it's like on the green that's only 9 yards wide and it's like 135 yards, like short hole. They do something where I think if you put down, say, $50, you pay $50 period, no matter what. Like if it's a card, they run it. If it's cash, they take it.
Mhm.
And then if you hit that green, they'll give you a pro shop voucher for double.
Okay.
So you are surrendering the money, like no matter what. But like if you were gonna buy shit in the pro shop anyway, and you think you can hit that green, like that's kind of cool too. Like a little bit of a challenge, like that's fine.
Yeah.
And then member guest. I've done this at a member guest. Something like $20 a guy. You pay so 20, yeah, the $20 gets you a raffle ticket. If you hit the green, you get 2 more raffle tickets. So I actually did this the last member guest I played. I forget when the fuck that was. June? I think it was right before I left for Pebble. I think it was the Friday before. So someone paid for me. Whatever. I usually play with older guys. They love buying into this shit. I don't even fucking bother. So like, I got my ticket. I hit the green. I get my 2 more. So I just gave them to the guy who brought me. I go, hey man, like hold on to these for me. He goes, oh, well, how do we know which ones are yours? I go, Paul, that I don't want you to hold on to them for me. They're yours. Take them.
Yeah.
And the raffle tickets were for a cash pool. So all the people that paid the $20, all that went to the pool. And I think it was winner take all.
Oh, wow.
Or I think it was winner take all. And then second was a pro shop credit for the same amount or something.
Okay.
Or maybe I'm sure the pro shop took something.
Yeah.
So say it was like 50 guys put their $20 in. So that's 1,000, like an $1,000
yeah.
pot. Maybe like the raffle winner took 500 and then second place took a $500 pro shop credit or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are pretty cool too. I don't like the gimmicky stuff. I don't like the mullies, the string. I don't know, the hand, even the grenades. They're like they're funny because of what they are, but like I don't really actually wanna play grenades.
Yeah.
But that's me. I'd rather play the shot. Like some people love their scrambles, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's fine.
Right.
It's just not how I enjoy the game most. There's a few ways I do it. And unfortunately, I am competitive, and I just know that the actual competition sucks. And then like the Easton Youth baseball one, I don't even know if they do it anymore. They also used to do something. It was like $20 for the foursome, $20 a guy, whatever, and you get something. And they would do like a helicopter drop, and a helicopter would drop all these balls on the putting green. And I'm like, I could give a flying fuck less about this.
Yeah.
If I wanted to do that, I'll just go buy a $20 scratch ticket.
Like a legit helicopter or like an RC helicopter?
No, like an actual helicopter.
But
Yeah, shit was fucking flying down. Like clear the fucking area. Like
once again, Easton showing that they have plenty of money.
well, someone probably because again, like because it is Easton Youth Baseball, so it's not like a for-profit entity that was doing this.
Right.
Someone must be a helicopter pilot.
Yeah, someone has their license.
Because that's the only way that gets done is by donation. They're not fucking paying for that.
Yeah.
Also,
yeah,
don't let Easton Country Club fool you.
They're fake rich. I've heard some other people talk about like some of the goofy shit. Like I think one of the guys, so some of the guys were just talking when we were like at the after part. And I heard one of them was talking about they did a scramble for like a fire. I think it was either a firefighters union or like just the city firefighters or whatever. And I forget what city it was. But they were like, oh yeah, one of the holes, like you have to putt with a Halligan. and you have to like do goofy
no,
shit like that.
no,
I would not be into that. That's too goofy.
no,
That's where
not
I
for
draw the
me.
line. Yeah. Yeah. Like don't give me like when you were saying the Easton Youth Baseball, I was like half expecting you to say like one of the holes you have to like put it on like a T-ball tee and
No,
use a
no,
baseball
no,
bat.
no, no,
Like
no, no.
don't do any of that shit. Keep it fucking simple, right? Like
Yeah, it's still just a scramble, but
don't give me the gimmicky shit that's like too gimmicky, right?
I
I would
actually think I have to play in one in July. Have to
yeah,
is an interesting term.
yeah,
I've been signed up to play in one instead of working that day.
yeah. So
Um, yeah, I haven't played. I don't think I've played a scramble. Fuck, 2019, I think. Yeah, no thanks.
yeah,
I don't like them, but it's whatever.
yeah. So that's that. Shout out to Sexy Chris. He actually this will be the bow on the golf talk. Um he was like he messaged me the other day and was like, you guys should start a golf only podcast and call it Autistic Foreplay. And when I read that, I legitimately laughed out loud. Like I thought that was pretty good. I was like, that's fucking hilarious. But I think we have been talking a lot of golf lately on these shows. So we'll wrap it up there. Autistic Foreplay.
Which is funny because the guys on Foreplay are fucking autistic.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are fucking they are bad.
So one of the funny things as we transition away that I kind of also came to realize that like, and I mean, I say came to realize, but I kind of knew even when we were living in Mansfield that like this part of the state is not like the rest of it. And by what I mean by that is it's not really the liberal foo like nobody can like get their feelings hurt type of place. I would say from like, I don't know, I would include Bridgewater, but I would say really from like Mansfield up through like Rentham, like right along that 495 belt, tends to be a little bit more red politically than the rest of the state. Now, again, I say that it's Massachusetts, right? Like we're not like people in this area are not Bible thumping Christians that are, picketing Planned Parenthoods, right? Like
Yeah, I don't think I can go to Uxbridge and fucking find a KKK store.
yeah.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean North Attleboro did have a fuck Joe Biden store for a long time. It closed.
Easton has a like a Northeast regional Trump store.
Yeah.
Been there a while too, before the election.
Yeah. So that's what I mean.
Someone
Like,
drove a car through it at one point.
oh yeah, I think I remember that.
Yeah. They were
Um,
the shit face leaving fucking El Mariachi. They did it on purpose, or both.
yeah. So yeah, this the area that we live in. I would say I live in. I think you're
You live
probably
in, because I do
you're at
not
the
fucking
edge.
live in.
Yeah.
I do not live in that area.
Yeah, where we used to live. You used to live here. So I think it's funny, right? Because we do live in such a very like liberal hippie state, with a lot of bullshit, like whatever. But I thought it was interesting because I heard again, I'm in a group of fucking, I don't know, what's 30 times 4, 120, at least 120 people plus helpers. So I catch a lot of like side conversations, whether we're in line for the bar or, everyone's sitting at the tables eating and you hear other stuff. And I heard a lot of people talking shit about like just the dumb, stupid, like liberal policies that people have. Like obviously anywhere you go now, people are going to talk politics, right? Now, me, myself, I was not engaged in any of this. We were at our table. We were talking about, I don't know, I don't even remember, just dumb shit. What we were making fun of one of the kids because he couldn't remember what color ticket was what thing. Because the red tickets were for the raffle items and the blue tickets were for the 50-50, and he just couldn't remember that. So like but there was amazingly no bullshit politics, no nothing like that. But obviously, when you put that many people together, there's going to be some stuff. So I just thought it was interesting, right? I would point out that as much as we hear and see, whether it's social media or the news or wherever, that there's all these like activism and like pro this and pro that. There's a lot of just regular ass fucking people that are sick and tired of the bullshit.
Well, I'll also tell you at whether it's the bar and grill at Chamawa or if it's the North Attleboro Elks, really any Elks or golf course bar.
Yeah.
What happens on the news, on Twitter and whatever, that is not reflective of the people that attend those places.
Exactly. And by that definition, those are my type of people. The people that you can find at the North Attleboro Elks or the golf course bar, those are the people that I would typically like to hang out with. I say typically because I do hate most people.
That's where you. So I actually had. So I had to remember the fentanyl story at the Foxborough Mandarin.
Yes.
I actually had to explain that story to the kids at work. So there's a couple kids there. Two of them are from Bridgewater. One goes to Bridgewater State. So they're all either live in the real world or whatever. And I said something. I forget how it came up, but I go, you'll find. I go, I don't know if it's like a smell, an aura. I don't know what it is. But the fucking shitty people always seem to find me somehow, some way, somehow. I go, here's a good example. Go, my buddy, we're sitting at the Foxborough Mandarin at the bar. Unprompted, dude just like kind of nudges him and goes, looking to score some fentanyl tonight. And then Nikos is just like, why me? Why is it always me? Why?
Yeah.
Why do these fucking weirdos always come at me with this shit?
And then he's great too. He's like, what? Because I'm the only brother here.
Well, that's the thing. Is like he's like, dude, like I get it, I'm black, but like why? Why do they have to speak up to me? Why does this happen? And I'm like, dude, I don't know. It's again, it's smell or aura, whatever. Like I know your uncles made jokes about that. Like, dude, like I've had weirdos come up to me. Oh, it was the Tank was asking me about the whipped cream thing at Milton.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, he found the fucking retards. Like he found the idiots.
Yep.
I go, they can always find us for better or for worse.
Can you show me how to use this?
Yeah, whether it's harmless like that kid or it's the fucking dude trying to score fentanyl.
Yeah.
And then they look at me and they're like, why was he trying to score fentanyl? I go, hold on, stop. And this is the teaching part. I go, right. No one thinks that. No one actually sits there and goes, you know what I want tonight? Fentanyl. No, you either get it,
right, or
you don't.
Right.
Don't or do. Don't care.
Yeah.
But I don't need to know.
Exactly.
We don't need to know. The three of us don't need to know. We're sitting there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I go, no one just says that. But I go, I don't know. This dude just felt compelled to tell my buddy. That's the only problem with like a golf course bar or an Elks or something like that.
Yeah.
The fucking weirdos can find you.
Oh, for sure.
So despite you not getting the super fucking weird side, you get the other side.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh yeah, if you're ever looking for solar panels for your house, it's like, dude, no.
Yeah.
Get the fuck away from me.
Yeah, I'm all set.
Oh, where do you live? No. We're not doing this.
Where do you live? No.
No.
Nope.
We are not fucking doing this. Well, if you don't want the solar panels, my cousin's got a landscaping company. No.
Yeah.
I don't.
What is this, a fucking multi-level marketing scheme? Like, oh, like, you don't want the solar panels. Well, how about landscaping?
Like, no.
Oh, you don't have a yard? Well, how about a driveway repaving? Like I know someone that can do that for
Ah,
you.
well, you got to need something pressure washed, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, listen, buddy, get the fuck away from me. All right.
Do you need money? Like,
Yeah.
like fuck. Fine.
Yeah.
The next $1.75 beer is on me, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's the
It is
Elks.
it is funny, right? Because I think, I mean, I haven't lived here super long. It's only been a couple years. Um, but I I get the vibe there. Now, don't get me wrong. There's certainly parts of North Attleboro that are like super fucking rich, right? There are multiple Patriots players that live in this town. Um, Logan Mankins lives right around the corner from me on a farm, like I talked about before. But I think in general, I think the town is very blue collar. Um, versus like in Easton, right? Like I think Easton is very white collar, and I think North Attleboro is very blue collar. So I think the people kind of like get it, right? Because they don't live in this like fantasy land. Um, they work, you know, semi-real jobs, right? Whatever it may be. So it is a little bit nice there. But that was it too. One of the things I actually caught this whole story. So there were a bunch of firefighters there because half of this also benefits. So the benefit of the golf tournament is for what this thing called Kids Day, which is what one of the days, I think it's in July. North Attleboro does this like big, huge, I think it's a weekend long thing actually. It's like a big like carnival festival, but not like the shitty traveling carnival that you think of that like goes around
That's
different
at the Emerald
places.
Square Mall.
Yeah, that's at the Emerald Square Mall. This is like more, it's like a field day almost in a way. Like they have like a live band that comes in on Saturday night. Like,
It's like the thing that like they had in Pawnee.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just like Pawnee with Lil Sebastian. So um one of the guys who I would assume is a firefighter was telling this story, and this guy was sitting at the table right next to me, and he turns to another person at the table, and he goes, yeah, so I met this person. I forget what he was saying. I'm going to paraphrase the story, but he goes, yeah, so I met this person. We're talking, and they tried to give me all this bullshit trans stuff. Like I don't want to hear any of this bullshit. He goes, and he does the Gary Jeffries line. He's like, I don't give a shit what anybody does as long as you just
don't
keep me
involve
out
me.
of it. Yeah, just do whatever you want on your own time. I don't need to know about it. Right. So he did the Gary Jeffries line.
Let's involve.
Yeah. But then I thought he made a super interesting point because he goes, I'm talking to this person, and he goes, you're an EMT, right? Or paramedic. I know there's a difference.
They all are.
I forget which one he said, but he was, let's just say EMT. He goes, you're an EMT, right? And the person says, yeah. And I go, what do you do if you get a phone call and there's a trans man having a miscarriage? How do you treat that? Would you treat that the same way you would a female that's having a miscarriage? And the guy goes, I said that to her and she didn't have a fucking word to say back to me. And I was like, I guess, dude, like fucking checkmate. I kind of.
Yes. So this is the other thing too, is like when lawmakers are doing their thing and social media people are doing their thing, and people who are just fucking either oblivious or have nothing better to do, or I don't know what, mentally ill, call it whatever. There's certain things that they don't really account for. That being a good one.
Yeah.
Because that happens, like that might happen in the real world.
Yeah.
And in the real world, it's supposed to be the medical personnel's going to do whatever they need to do correctly.
Right.
Regardless of what society thinks.
Exactly.
Because generally it's bad business just to let them fucking, I mean, can someone die from a miscarriage?
Yeah, probably. You could probably you can hemorrhage.
You could? Okay.
Yeah.
So let's in this scenario, this person could die. We'll just say.
Yeah.
They're not just going to let them die. It's not what they do. So they're going to handle it regardless of pronouns and
Yeah.
fucking bathing suits and Target and fucking
Yeah.
what beer they drink. Like, that's the thing that some people seem to forget is when
Although
it comes down to,
I think I said that backwards in the story. I think I said, did I say trans man?
dude,
But
you did maybe, but
you
like,
know,
I don't,
what
dude,
I
I don't
meant
know.
though.
I don't know the
Trans woman.
difference.
What he was saying in the story was a biological male who is presenting as a woman is claiming that she is having a miscarriage. Like, in that
Yeah.
situation, like,
Yes,
what
from
do
the
you do?
medical,
You like get him a fucking pillow and like put his feet up and give him some Advil, like, and give him a glass of water, tell him it's going to be fine.
no, that one you call the
Versus,
social worker.
yeah, that's when you call the social worker.
Hey, your fucking problem.
Your fucking problem. You deal with it. Versus like a biological female, like now you have to take legitimate medical action. I just wanted to make sure I was clear on that in the story. I think I think me retelling the story, I crossed it. I said it wrong. I'm also half retarded.
I wouldn't know the fucking difference. Only
Hence
because
autistic foreplay.
Only because I choose not to care.
We're two halves of a full retard. That could be the tagline.
Join our Patreon. We're the only platform that we can fucking exist on. For $8 a month, you can get all this stupidity and more.
Yeah, and golf.
Believe it or not, I could be dumber.
Yeah.
So I had an interesting question posed to me. So the girl that goes to Bridgewater, she asked me, she goes, "Hey, what did you think of the students when you were there?" I'm like, fucking, I go, in terms of what? Yeah. I go, this could go fucking anywhere. She goes, like, as a whole. I go, and I look at her, I go, I have no idea what you're trying to get at. I go, but I'm going to answer your question by not answering your question. And I go, I assure you right now, I would have a way tougher time dealing with people if I went to college right now, as opposed to graduating when I did.
Right.
Now, a lot of people will say, well, that's easy to say. Different times. I'm talking 11 years. It's not that different.
Yeah, it's not that different, but a lot has changed in the last 10 years.
A couple things that are definitely bigger things going on. Everybody gets involved on the political side of things. Everyone.
Yeah.
Like, it's way more polarizing right now. Wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
The sociology side of stuff, like, again, the trans, the fucking bathing suits, the fucking Bud Light, like, wouldn't be able to do it. Would not be able to do it. I just don't fucking care enough.
Yeah.
And I do not fucking care. Like, I literally have one thought. I don't think trans should compete in women's events. That's the only fucking, like,
agreed,
stance I have.
Agreed. Other than that, do whatever the fuck you want.
Go fucking nuts.
Just keep me out of it.
No, but seriously, go nuts. Like, I don't care.
I don't give a fuck
one bit.
Whatever you do in your home is none of my business.
And I'm like, I go, when I was there, I mean, there were a lot of athletes. There were a lot of people. Like, Middle Earth was a thing. I don't know if it still is. I know they renovated the campus center. I don't know if Middle Earth still existed then. I did wonder what was going to happen there. I'm like, I don't know. Everyone just kind of like everyone just kind of did their thing. But it must have been the 2016 election where everyone became so fucking like politically motivated, even at a younger age.
Yeah.
And it's like, then it was like everything's protest this and protest that. And God. Fuck. I don't know. I don't know if I would have been able to do it. Like, if I had, because my first semester freshman year, I was fucking thinking about dropping out. I was like, why? I did not know why I was enrolled in that school.
Yeah.
And the reason I was enrolled in Bridgewater State is because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I figured I would figure it out. And I'm sitting there before winter break going, why am I here and what am I doing?
A bit of an existential crisis.
I'm like, this is a fucking waste of time.
Yeah.
And I was probably sitting there bombing in fucking calculus class when I already took calculus, trying to figure out like, why the fuck am I bombing a class that I've already taken?
Yeah.
And why am I here? And what am I going to do about like,
I mean, I have to take zoology next semester. What the fuck?
so if I was sitting there like wondering, what am I going to do? Why am I here? And what's the point of all this? And then I had to look out my fucking window to see someone
Oh
fucking
God.
like protesting the Homer Simpson fucking seminar class.
Yeah, yeah,
I would have fucking lost my fucking mind.
yeah.
Probably would have dropped out.
Yeah. Same. I probably would have too. I don't, yeah. That's a really interesting question. Because like you said, it's only been 10 years, but there's a lot that's changed in 10 years.
And I think it really comes down to like the political side and like the sociological side.
Yeah.
Like those two things have not only become so prevalent, but they're so polarizing.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would agree with most college kids.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would feel the way I feel right now. Obviously, I'm 33. I'm not 19.
Yeah.
But even then, I don't think I would have
I don't think I would
fell
have
in line
either.
with the majority of the student
Yeah.
body.
I mean, obviously it's easy for me to say now, right? Like,
Yeah, it's
like
hard.
you're
It's hard
saying,
to think, but like,
but I don't think I would have bought into the, because I've never really been that way. I've always been well, I can't say always, but I would say since high school, right? I've been a like hard work, like get shit done. Like if you want something, you have to work for it. Cause like that's kind of how I grew up and came to be, right? Like my dad died when I was 13. Like I came from a single parent house. It was just me and my mom. I'm an only child, right? So it's like I started working when I was 13 years old because I had to, right? If I wanted money. Um, as I got older, like when I was like 17, 18, like I helped my mom pay for bills in the house. Like it, it's just kind of like I had to grow up in a way that I think would have protected me from this like foo like liberal bullshit because I would have been like, what do you mean? Like you don't like okay, you don't like the grade you got? Like why don't you do better? Like why don't you try harder? Why don't you like talk to the professor? Why don't you know what I mean? Like I would have looked at it and was like, well, that's stupid. Because that's the other thing too. Like me personally, I've always done well in school. I got mostly A's through high school. College was a little bit of a different story. Depended how much I actually liked the class and if I went. But I still got mostly A's and B's, few C's, and I think I got a D. I think I got a D in one class, one semester, undergrad. But I mean, in grad school, I think I got straight A's. I mean, if you don't count like A minuses, like I didn't have a 4.0 GPA in grad school, but I think I had a 3.9 or a 3.88, high 3.8 or a 3.9. So I've always done pretty well, but like I've had to like push to do well, right? Like I don't know. So yeah, that's what I
or
mean.
at
Like I
least
said,
just do your work, whatever.
yeah, like it's again, it's easy for me to sit here at 31 years old and be like, oh, if I was 19 today, I would tell them all to fuck off. I really do think I would, but like, I don't know. I can't say that
Well,
for
no, I
sure.
would. So here's the deal. I wouldn't say shit to him. I
Well,
fucking
yeah,
assure you of that.
yeah.
That one's a guarantee.
I
I
probably would
probably,
be the dickhead that joined like the Trump fucking student union or something just to piss people off. I would do something like that.
yeah. I mean, I would have just sat there and been like, just fucking, just keep me out of it.
Yeah. Let's involve Gary Jeffries. Um,
I need to watch that special again soon. It's so fucking good.
it's so fucking good.
I also don't know if that's the one where he was on the date where he was sitting there like trying to figure out if he should eat the cheese and he decides to, and then like his plans change. I feel like that's the same special.
I think it could be, yeah. He just came out with a new one. Like within the last like 6 months, I think.
You know what? I will feel like I sent it to you and never watched it.
I,
Or I
I haven't
told
I
you
haven't
about it
watched
and I
it yet
never
either.
watched it.
Because Amy actually doesn't like Jim Jeffries. So if I were to watch it, I'd have to watch it on my own time. But
Well, write it down, and when the kid's born, you'll have plenty of time.
oh yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, we didn't even get to any of the other shit. I mean, we can keep going. We don't have a fucking time limit or anything. But since we're on like political bullshit, I did want to bring up before it becomes old news. RFK Jr. was just on the Joe Rogan podcast. I also caught he did like a super quick, like 25 to 30-minute interview with Breaking Points at Crystal and Saga. And I was a little bit disappointed because it was more like it's the first time since I've followed them that they were a lot like traditional news media. They were like peppering him with questions. Now, to be fair, when I do listen to the Breaking Points podcast, at the end of every episode, so their final segment on their podcast, their last like 15 to 20, 25 minutes, they do an interview with someone, and I never listen to them. I listen to like certain segments that they produce through every episode, like a cherry pick, right? And I don't think I've ever listened to one of their interviews at the very end. So I don't know if that's really how they are, but I was a little disappointed how they handled it. Like I said, they peppered him with questions. They did the stupid, like, I'm going to ask you a political stance question, and when you dance around it and don't answer it, I'm going to ask you the same stance question, the exact same question again, type of thing. And it's like, don't really like that, but I do like you guys, and I think you're way fucking better than every other, mainstream media or traditional media. So I'm not going to stop watching them or listening to them, but slightly disappointed the way that went. However, I thought RFK Jr. handled it very well in that 25 minutes on Breaking Points. And what struck me from it was his ability to kind of almost be like a real person. So I actually let me see if I can pull this up really quick.
He'll never get through if that's the case. Dance,
How do I
puppet,
get rid of
dance.
this? Yeah. So I actually sent this to Sexy Chris the other day because he asked me about it, because he listened to RFK Jr. on Rogan first. And he hadn't listened to Breaking Points. So I did Breaking Points first and then did Rogan. So I said, it's a quick interview. Biggest takeaway I had was someone who's actually in tune with the current world and the landscape and is willing to keep an open mind. I'd call him probably, like, in today's world, a moderate Democrat with more of like a capitalist mindset. He's not, he says right to Crystal and Sagar that he's not in favor of UBI, which is universal basic income, which basically is like the stimulus checks for anyone that doesn't know. During COVID, there's a big left-wing policy push that, there should be a universal basic income for everyone in the country.
Do you know what the tax rate is in Australia?
I don't.
It's almost 50%.
Jesus fucking Christ. So
You know
California,
you know what the tax rate is in Germany?
was it like 60%?
It's like 60.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
have those things.
I knew
I don't know if it's I don't know if
Right.
it's UBI, but they have those things.
I knew
So-
Germany was bad, but I didn't know about Australia. So basically California. But
I mean, dude, they're only at 16.
yeah, well, I think in total they're at like 40%.
Because it ends up being close to 40 or so.
Yeah. If you make
Gotcha.
if you're in the highest tax bracket in California, you pay over 40% in tax.
Crazy.
Between
Anywho.
federal and state.
Yeah,
So
but they got the healthcare.
yeah, good stuff. So he says he's not in favor of UBI, right? However, he says that he's open to it if and when AI becomes a problem. So he literally sits there. Crystal, I think Crystal is the one that asked the question and goes, "What's your stance on UBI?" And he's like, "Well, I don't really support UBI. We don't have to get into the nitty gritty of it, but like, I'm a traditional capitalist, all this stuff, yada, yada, yada goes through." And he goes, "However, I do want to acknowledge that I'm not against it, like put the pen down and not talk about it." He's like, if we run into a situation like Elon Musk has mentioned that, AI starts to take away people's jobs and we need to explore UBI as a potential option, I'm willing to keep an open mind and explore it and see what the best way is that we can go about instituting it if necessary. And I was like, how is that not the perfect fucking answer?
Oh, I was going to say, what's the issue?
Yeah, that's literally like, that's the perfect fucking answer. I don't support it, but that doesn't mean that I would never support it. Right? Like he's just seems to be like a very willing to talk about anything and keep an open
Sounds
mind.
like you're not going to be able to hang out with the Elks anymore.
Yeah, I know. So he is pro free speech. He is very much anti-military industrial complex. So I'll jump into his interview with Rogan that was a classic 3 hours. But at one point, they were talking about, Joe asked him, like, what would you do? Like, how would you fix the economic situation? And he goes, well, we need to end all these wars. And he gets into how he would end the Russia and Ukraine war, which again, I think is very sensible. He brought up the fact that Russia was willing to end the war, like before it even started, basically. And he said that there's a way the biggest thing is, for people that aren't super familiar with it, there's this region in Ukraine called the Donbass region. And like, that's basically what they're fighting over. So he came up with a way to diplomatically kind of keep both sides content. I wouldn't say happy, right? Because in a good negotiation, both sides leave unhappy. That's how you know it's a good deal, typically. But he proposed his plan, and unfortunately, I don't remember specifically what it was there. But what I was focused on was this part of it, where he said, we need to end all these bullshit wars, and we need to start building the country from within. He goes, what is going to be the downfall of this country is that we are focusing and have been focusing the last few decades on being a military strength. And our economy has fallen apart or fallen by the wayside, however he said it, as a result. And he goes, China has spent the last few decades doing the exact opposite. He goes, how many wars has China been in the last 40 years? It was none. They don't do the empire bullshit. They don't do the starting these wars on the other side of the world. What they do is they focus on making their economy as big and as strong as they fucking can. And now you have countries, we talked about this before, you have countries all over the world. It's the BRICS. So it's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, I think is the BRICS, BRICS. They now are using the yen, the Chinese yen, as their default currency. So they all left the US dollar because the US economy is unstable, right? And it's kind of pretty fucking low compared to where it used to be. And no one has any faith in the US economy anymore. So now they're switching over to the Chinese yen as their default currency. So he talks about that. He talks about all these issues. And he basically says the military industrial complex is going to destroy the country because they are receiving ridiculous amounts of money. And he mentioned that at the end of the Vietnam War, there was, I don't know who the president was, whether it was Nixon or Johnson, but they said something about like a peace dividend. So they were going to take like the remainder of the budget that was supposed to be spent on the war and like give everyone a check for like whatever, like a couple $100. But that obviously never got dispersed. And it instead went to government contracts. So he said that, places like Raytheon and Lockheed and Boeing, basically everything we've said, what other people have said and have been saying, is that these companies are receiving literally trillions of dollars from the US government, and their incentive is to wage war, right? Like, if you have a company that all they do is create weapons, they're going to want war. So if they're receiving money from the government to produce weapons, the money that they then pump back into the government via campaign donations and things like that is going to be to, hey, keep us going, right? Like, keep sending those weapons over to Ukraine because we need to produce more, right? The more we produce, the more we can sell, the better our bottom line is, the higher our stock price goes, our investors are happy, right? It's a positive feedback loop. And RFK Jr. has said that that's the fucking problem. He's like, if I get in, we're ending all of that. He goes,
he's not going to have to worry about that.
Yeah, because he's not going to get in. They won't even let him fucking debate, which is an absolute fucking joke. But he said, so I paraphrase, he didn't say like we were going to end all of it. What he did say was they need to refocus, right? And create ways to fortify the US from within, right? He said, we need to build a fortress here and not fight a proxy war in Ukraine against Russia, or fight a war in fucking Syria, right? Or Iraq or Iran, or pick any of the ones, Laos, Vietnam, fucking Taiwan, like pick any war that's happened in the last 50 years. It was like, we're not doing any of that shit. We'll fortify the country here from within. We'll build strong borders. We'll have the military companies spend money to beef up military at home, not overseas, and we're going to build the economy. And I was like, I don't know, dude. He sounds really fucking good. As someone who hates all politicians, you nailed it, right? You fucking hit it right on the head. He's not going to be a nominee because the Democrats won't allow it. Like I said, they won't even.
And I'm talking ever.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Not even this coming election.
Right. If he were a candidate, I wouldn't even look at anybody else on the ballot. I would vote for him. After listening to him on the Rogan podcast, I would vote for him. Not because I agree with everything that he says. Sorry, you go ahead.
No, I was just going to say too, and it's like, I'd have to know more about what he's talking about, but he could also potentially be the guy. Now, again, I don't know what the Democrats actually think of him. If we moved into our love triangle that we're aiming for of DeSantis, Trump, Biden, replace Biden with this guy, and I don't think you need to worry about the other two.
Oh, yeah.
Because they'll just eat each other alive, and all the people that are like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Give me this guy.
It's really interesting and kind of makes you wonder, or makes me wonder, right? What is the actual goal and who is pulling the strings, right? Because we
don't know and we don't know.
We don't, right? So from a purely political standpoint, right? Like, if this was in a vacuum and the Democratic Party as a whole wanted to retain power over the government, or at least the executive branch of the government, you would run RFK Jr. because he would win, right? He would win. So from a like my team versus your team standpoint, it doesn't make sense to not have him be your candidate. However, where obviously this isn't in a vacuum, it's like, okay, so the goal isn't control of the executive office then, or the executive branch, it's something else, right? And I'm not smart enough really to figure out what that is, but it's I don't know. And it could be the military industrial complex. It could be, the quote unquote cabal, right? The deep state, whatever the fuck you want to call it. The people, in the shadows that really are, have the marionette on a string. They don't think they'd be able to control them, maybe.
It's the owl deity.
Yeah, it's Moloch. So yeah, I don't know. It's super interesting because it does kind of shed a little bit of light on the situation that it's not a purely we want our team to win. Because if you did want your team to win, he's your best candidate. He's probably the best candidate that's currently in the race, right? Selfishly, I still think Tulsi would be the best person to run. But the best person that's currently in the race is RFK Jr. Like, by and far. So I don't know. I think DeSantis is probably pretty close. I think in a best case scenario, which means this is not going to happen at all, we would get DeSantis versus RFK Jr. And then I would have faith that whoever won, right? Like we would not fucking continue to spiral into nothingness, which means we're going to get Trump and Biden. And then, we're doomed.
Yeah, it's just like Rocky 2.
Yeah. So, that's what I was going to say before. It's not that I agree with everything that RFK says, right? Because I don't. There's a lot of stuff that I disagree with. Like he's got some goofy stances on Wi-Fi. But I think it's so if you listen to the interview, to me, and I'm putting words in his mouth, and I guess I'm defending him in a way, but to me, it sounds like he's a little bit misinformed with what's going on. Because he did make the claim that like Wi-Fi causes cancer and like, like the 5G towers and all that, like conspiracy stuff, which it's rooted in truth because Andrew Huberman, who I've talked about before, who's a fantastic scientist, has shared studies that show men that keep cell phones in their pockets have a lower sperm count, or I'm saying in their front pocket have a lower sperm count than men that keep their phones either in their back pocket or somewhere else on their person. So there is legitimate scholastic research out there that shows that like something is happening, right, with cell phones. And now if that's necessarily the Wi-Fi or the 5G, who the fuck knows, right? But the fact of the matter is that there's radiation, right? Like this little thing that we all carry in our pockets, like it emits some form of radiation. And over time, that's not great. So the same thing, there's also some legitimate scientific research that shows an increase in glioblastomas in the brain. And so I mean, I haven't read much into this, but there are some people that claim that they're specific to one side of the head, which seems to be where that person would always hold their cell phone. Again, I can't support or refute that claim. That seems like a lot, but it might not be, right? So clearly there's something going on with something from the cell phones. Again, whether it's Wi-Fi or 5G or just radiation in general, because it's an electronic device and it emits electronic wavelengths of radiation. Who knows, right? But I think there's something to it. So I think he's a little misinformed from that standpoint. Like, I think he just doesn't have all of the information. Not that I do either, but I think I have a little bit more than he does in regards to that, because he was trying to claim on Rogan that like Wi-Fi causes cancer and that like just by sitting in a room where you have Wi-Fi accessible is like bad for your health. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. But I do think that there is something to the phone thing. So he's got some goofy stuff, like I said, that I don't really agree with. And I'm sure if I went down on every political policy that he had, I wouldn't agree with some of them either. But that's like, my point is that like I can find things to disagree with him and agree with him, but the biggest thing for me is like keeping an open mind, right? Like he's not this like, nope, I have to say that I support all trans people because I'm running as a Democrat. So obviously everything is great. Or no, abortion is bad because I'm running as a Republican. So I don't support abortion at all. It's like, okay, you guys are fucking lame. Like you're not a human. You're just a fucking robot. You know, you're a humanized piece of paper, right? Like I can just read on the piece of paper what your stances are. So I think it's a breath of fresh air that he's in it, but like you said, as you most often do, is keep me grounded at least, or keep the show grounded. It's all for naught because he's not gonna, not even gonna be nominated. He's not even gonna be a nominee. So
they won't let it happen.
Yeah,
we don't know who they are, but they won't let it happen.
Yeah, so fuck me, I guess. But if you do have time, anybody, whether it's you actually or the listeners, it's it's a decent listen. Again, it's a Rogan 3-hour long episode, but I think it's fantastic. So he got my vote from it. So, and I am sitting here again, like I said, I hate all politicians, but that being said, I wasn't sure if I would ever vote for a Democrat ever, the way things have been going in that party. But here we are. I would vote for him in a heartbeat.
I still don't plan on voting, so
yeah.
Although, I mean, if they trot someone good, I'll go reactivate my shit or whatever the fuck. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, in the last 2 elections, I voted third party. I voted for Gary Johnson in 2016, and I voted for.
That's very commendable of you.
Joe Jorgensen? Was that who ran in 2020? I don't know.
It's very commendable. I just know it's not going to fucking matter.
Yeah. All right. You want to wrap this bitch up?
Yep. So, you got a cast iron pan at home?
I do.
Okay, so you actually got one. Because I remember back in Axis 2017, you wanted to make like I don't even know what the fuck it was, an apple something. It was like apple and pastry or apple and like dough.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Whatever it was fucking stupid. It took me forever to clean the goddamn thing.
And I remember that because it was like, this thing is a fucking bastard to clean because you can't use soap, you can't use water. If you fuck it up, you got to season it and oil it and all that.
Yeah.
Everyone knows you can't put soap on the pan. It ruins the seasoning, then it rusts and it destroys everything. Which, I mean, obviously that's how it works, right?
Yeah.
Until I found Cast Iron Chris with underscores on Instagram. And Cast Iron Chris, now I don't watch everything because there's no logical like progression for me. He uses soap. He uses water. He uses like fairly abrasive things on like regular use cast iron pans. Now, he also restores them and whatever. He's not really talking about the $20 Lodge pan from Target.
Yeah.
There's Griswold might be a company. I don't know. Some of those shits are worth like thousands of dollars. And like he talks about them being heirlooms and antiques, whatever. Okay. But moral of the story, he says you can use soap, sponges, fairly abrasive stuff. I think he uses chainmail.
Yeah, I use chainmail for mine and salt. I put salt in and scrub it with the chainmail.
That's another one. So like the salt, the chainmail, whatever. So, Mr. Cast Iron Chris, I took on your little challenge with my Lodge cast iron pan. I think he's right. So I think I've washed mine with soap like 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah.
I have not I've only used like the yellow and green sponge and
Yep.
using the green side. That's all I've used on it. I've used soap, used water. Still same deal, like clean it. Like I usually clean it while it's hot.
Yeah.
Clean it, wipe it dry, hit it with some oil, spread the oil out. And then this was the other piece. I used to just kind of leave it from there. I've now started wiping the excess oil away.
Yeah.
So some of the parts of what he says, he goes, first of all, the soap doesn't fucking do the things that you think it does. Number one, first and foremost, he goes, you think it does all these things, and I don't see that. He goes, you can clean this like normal. And he's like, he goes, and you shouldn't have to re-season all that much. If it's seasoned right the first time, it should be fine. Now the Lodge pans, I guess they're fucking not good. Whatever.
Yeah.
Mine isn't rusting. It'll get the fucking job done.
Right.
But what he also made a point to show was, like, you know, you have oil and excess oils and fats and all that shit, and like it splatters, whether it's on the sides or like whatever, and it gets like that black, scummy whatever. Like, he shows some of his pans, they're not black, they're gray. Now again, Lodge notwithstanding.
Yeah.
But he's like, it doesn't need to have a coat of whatever the fuck black shit for it to be seasoned. All that is just burnt, built up shit.
Yeah.
You're going to want to clean that off. And what I have noticed since is using the soap, using the sponge, things don't stick as much. It's easier to clean each and every time. And I feel like I've wasted the last 7 or 8 years of my life. Like
keeping soap and a sponge away from
like worrying about the fucking cast iron pan.
Yeah. So now we have another Chris. We have a cast iron Chris.
Yeah, but we'll never meet cast iron Chris. No, because truthfully, it's like, listen, man, like the tips, like I'm sure you're listening. The tips are great. Listens. I'm never going to restore a pan the way he does. There's lots of chemicals and processes and like, dude, there's a lot. Like, he's got fucking like the car battery like hooked up to the fucking thing.
Oh,
like,
Jesus Christ. Like the electrophoresis, whatever the fuck.
Like it's
yeah.
All that stuff. Again, but he's restoring like pans that should be worth $3,000. And if you don't restore it right, it's worth fucking $100 maybe if someone wants it.
Yeah. That's crazy that a cast iron pan would be worth thousands of dollars.
It's nuts. I'm like, dude, all cast iron pans are like $20.
Yeah.
That's what makes them great.
You can literally get them anywhere. Like, you can get them at Bass Pro Shop. You can get them at Target. You can get them at Market Basket.
Like, Olympia Sports used to be able to buy one.
Yeah. Yeah, you can get them at Dick's.
Yeah. Yeah, not quite. So yeah. And then not only that, comments, absolute cesspool, as you can imagine. So this is why we can't have nice things too.
Yeah. It's like Lou Stagner. People go after him being like, oh, cesspool. Your stats are wrong.
Yeah.
Like, okay. He only works for Arcos and has, what is it? 12,000, or is it's more than that, right?
750 million.
Oh, okay. That's what
shots in the database.
Yeah.
They're almost at 750 million.
Yeah. So you get 300,000 shots in the database, but
750. 3/4.
Yeah. 3/4, not 1/4.
Nope. But that's the problem. Too much data.
Yeah. It's too much data.
Too many numbers.
Yeah. You need less data. It's more accurate. Yes.
Yeah. It's not what I see in my Sunday group.
Yeah. No, I definitely hit the driver 275 on average.
Oh, on Twitter? No, it's 300 all day.
Yeah, people fucking suck. So, all right. So my final thought, if you've been watching on YouTube, the last couple episodes, first of all, go hit that subscribe button, and like, comment, review, all that fun shit. But you'll notice over my shoulder over here, there's more shit that seems to just be piling up. And that's true. And this is only what you can see that's on camera. There's one really big box right there. There's the top part of a like reclining swivel chair.
Have you painted the room yet?
No, I have not.
You are going to be a terrible fucking father unless you paint that fucking room.
I know. I got to start early.
Just paint the fucking room.
I got to set the tone from the beginning.
Paint the fucking room. Just paint you have to paint a room. Like it's what every fucking person who's ever had a baby, they have to paint a room. Always. Every single fucking time. That paint, no good. Gotta paint
good. It. Yeah. There's a high chair right there. There's another box behind it. There's the bottom half of the rock. Actually, I think I can I'll just turn this real quick for you guys. Yep. There's the bottom half of the reclining rocker chair. And then there's another box behind that. And that's just what's here. There is 3, 4, 5 more boxes downstairs in my dining room. So needless to say, having a baby, you apparently acquire a fuck ton of things. So
wait until people start dropping off all the shit that they don't want anymore for your kid.
Yeah.
What I would recommend is like anyone that starts bringing you clothes and shit, throw them out when you're done.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of these are like the high chair and shit like that are like baby shower gifts where like the people either couldn't make it or it's something bigger, right, and heavier, like a high chair or a fucking, I don't know, pack and play, whatever the fuck people are sending, like a car seat, something bigger and heavier that they don't want to like schlep into the fucking baby shower just so we can schlep it home. So they just bought it and delivered it right to us at our house, which is just way
as they
easier.
should.
Yeah, way fucking easier. As it's just all going to go in the back of my truck. So it's just less stuff, less trips that I have to make from the North Attleboro Elks to my house after the fucking baby shower. So yeah, there's a lot of shit that we're accumulating so far. And I'm going to get kicked out of my office pretty fucking soon. So in the next few episodes, you might notice a new scenery behind me because I am going to have to find somewhere else to do.
You got to paint the room first.
Yeah, I got to paint well, I need to get this desk out so I can paint the room.
Right.
Yeah. So
don't forget.
I feel like it should be a game. Like every episode that we do, I should add more shit in here until finally it's like literally right behind me. Luckily, I use a background for work. So like my computer is right here. And then to the left of this is like my work setup. So there I have like a virtual back, like it just says move plan on my background. And then, that's so people can't see all the shit behind me. But yeah, that's going to do it for us today. So thanks for coming along the ride. Don't forget to subscribe if you're an audio only guy too. Tell everybody you know about the show. You can get us on Instagram at Sarcasm Speaks Pod, on Twitter at Sarcasm_Speaks, Facebook is Sarcasm Speaks, website sarcasmspeaks.com. Go to the merch store, buy some merch, and then go to moonbrew.com. Use the promo code Jared16159 to get 10% off your order at Moonbrew. I drank my Moonbrew tea earlier, as you could have seen if you're on YouTube. That'll get you 10% off again over there when you check out. Then you can go to grillyourassoff.com and use the promo code SarcasmPod to save 10% off your order every single time you check out. Multi-use coupon, 10% off every time over there. And while you're trying to spend some money, you can go to mybookie.com, use the same promo code SarcasmPod, and they will double your initial deposit up to $1,000 over there. So that is going to do it for us. Until next time, good night, everyone.